Hi again, everybody. My name is Greg Anderson, and this is the Good Timekeeping Show with Greg Anderson. And today I want to talk about these watches here, mostly this one and this one. But I think before I start, I need to talk about this one here. This watch is the WV-200R from Casio, a Wave Ceptor watch, and that means it's got a radio receiver built into it, so it can pick up atomic time information and set itself to the right time, right down to the second. And so I bought this watch back at the beginning of the year 2018 when a local Sears store was closing down forever. And so I went in there to see if they had any good clearance items in any of the departments that I might be interested in. And they happen to have some watches. This is the only one I saw that had the Wave Ceptor atomic timekeeping receiver built in. So I bought this, and it was only, I don't know, like $20, $25. Very simple, basic Casio watch, and a pretty good deal for what it could do. And when I got this, I thought to myself, I wonder what else Casio's been up to that I haven't been paying attention to, because I hadn't been looking at Casios and G-Shock watches or anything. I really hadn't been looking to buy any watches for a few years before I found this one. But as soon as I started looking at all the things Casio was doing while I wasn't paying attention, oh boy. And soon I realized that Casio had been putting out lots of very interesting watches over the years. And over the last 5 years, that's when this YouTube channel really started to get going. And I've got all those G-Shocks and other Casio watches with atomic timekeeping receivers. Multiband 6 is one version of that. Tough solar, all kinds of great features. And now you know, if you've been paying attention to my channel, I have lots and lots and lots of watches. And it all started with this one right here. So then the next ones that I looked at were similar to this, and that's some of these guys here. So like here's one. These two watches basically have the same case and in a lot of ways are doing the same things, just a little bit different display. Then I found there was a kind of a metal version of this watch here. Whoops. So I went and got that one there. And then also when it came to this guy here, that does all the same things. Here was a little bit more robust version of it with a case that was 200 meters water resistant. And then there was a metal version of that one. And so I got these. And so those were my budget Wave Ceptor watches for a while until this year I found that Casio had put out some more. So these are some updated ones. This one is kind of in a nice, that's almost like an army green for all the resin parts there, and this one, that nice deep blue. There's also one that's kind of a desert tan version, and the neat thing about these, I saw this one at a Walmart store in person, and I saw the desert tan version of it at more than one Walmart store within an hour's drive of where I live. So you may find these at your local Walmart for somewhere between $40 and $45. This one I didn't find in person at a Walmart store, but I found that it was available and I ordered it online through Amazon. Again, about the same price, somewhere between $40 and $45 for this. So let me tell you about what these watches can do. First of all, I should tell you, even though they look almost identical to this one here, over here on the right, these are updated modules. They're a little bit different. And if you look very closely, you're going to see right there where it says Multiband 5 on this one and on this one. These two are newer ones. And this one here doesn't say Multiband 5. It does say Wave Ceptor, but not Multiband 5. So what's the difference? Okay, and if you've watched my other videos, you know I often talk about Multiband 6, which is a feature available on some of these fancy G-Shock watches, Multiband 6. So what's the difference between all of those things? Well, this watch here is capable of picking up atomic time information from a government-run organization, the National Institute of Standards and Technology here in the United States. They've got radio station WWVB, which transmits the atomic time information, and this watch can pick that up and set itself. That's the Wave Ceptor. This one will also work there's a transmitter in the UK. So if you're over there and you're set to a UK time zone or one that's close to there, then this one could also set itself using that. Whereas Multiband 5 adds the ability to receive not only from the US and the one in the UK, but there's one in Germany and there are two in Japan. So depending on where you are and what time zone you're set to, this one could receive its atomic time information from one of those other ones all the way up to 5. And as for Multiband 6, that adds the one in China. So yeah, so that's the main difference. For me, you know, I've never been to China. I don't have any plans to go to China. I don't even have plans to go to Europe or, you know, the UK and Germany or Japan. So I'm fine with this. This will keep me going. But if I ever do go to Japan or the UK or Germany or, yeah, those places, then I got this. And if I need China, I'll take one of these Multiband 6. So that's what all that difference is. And that's why these two, even though they look like they're doing exactly the same things, it is technically a different module here because of that Multiband 5 versus, you know, just the UK and the USA receivers. So I want to go through the functions and features of this watch, which will be identical to the functions and features of this watch and this watch and all these others really, except for that multiband reception. They all do the same thing. Okay, so let's just start here. When you're in the main timekeeping mode, as you see here, there's the day of the week right there. There's the date and the year, and then your time, hours, minutes, and seconds with AM or PM, or it can be set to a 24-hour display as well. This circle here with kind of the 3 sections, that is an indicator of your atomic time reception. And since all those indicators are visible right now, the 1, 2, and the 3, that means that this has recently been able to successfully set itself to the right time using Multiband 5. Finally, up here, alarm and signal. So if the alarm is set to go, there would be a little box next to that. The signal, the hourly signal is set to go, so there's a box there. So those are your indicators right there. And all that you can see right here on your main timekeeping screen. Now, if I press the mode button, I go to the next mode, and that will show me my world time mode. So right there, you know, it's set to UTC. And that would be the time over there. And then my local time is still available right there in the middle of the display. And that corresponds to London without summertime or without daylight saving time. That's what you're seeing there. It's interesting, these little boxes right here, DST with an arrow pointing up and DST with an arrow pointing down. What this indicates, since that box is filled in, means that my local time right there is showing DST or daylight saving time, and this one down here is not showing daylight saving time right now. If, you know, they do have summertime over there in London, so if I wanted to change that and show, you know, the daylight saving time or summertime indication right there, then I would press and hold this button marked adjust. So just hold that for a couple seconds, and there I go. Now it is showing, and it says UTC plus 1 hour. And it is showing that it's daylight saving time or summertime. That's the indication right there. So I can turn that on or off for my selected world time zone right there. Now, if I wanted to change time zones, what I do is for my world time here, I would press this button on the lower right, and it's as though I'm going eastward on the map. So the time zone named after a major airport, I guess, in that time zone. And so as I go around, you can see that it's affecting the display, you know, and some of those time zones are, you know, like right there, 5.5 hours ahead of UTC. And, you know, so that's how I get to see all those other time zones that I can select from around the world. But I think I'm going to go ahead and let it go all the way back to UTC, and that'll be my world time zone for there. Now, next mode, this is a countdown timer. And so pretty straightforward as far as countdown timers go on Casio watches and digital watches in general. Right now it's set to 10 minutes. And as you can see, the local time is still available right there even when you're in this mode, this timer mode. If I want to change the duration of the timer, then I hold that down until things start to blink, and I can go lower or higher with these 2 buttons on the side. So I can choose any number of minutes from 1 minute all the way to a full 60 minutes. So you've got your ability to have, you know, up to a 1 hour timer there. And if I stop it from blinking and then I just start that timer, you know, it's going to count down all the way to 0, and then it will stop. It is not a repeating timer. Some people would like it to be, but it's not. Here is the stopwatch mode now. And here you have, again, minutes, seconds, and hundredths of a second. So this is a 1 hour stopwatch. If you don't stop it, it'll get to 1 hour, and then it will reset to 0 and keep on going. But if you do stop it, it's this button down here to stop it, or this button over here, the adjust button, for your split time or lap time. there, and also when it's stopped and you get it back to your stop time, press adjust once more to reset it to all zeros, and you're ready to go once again. The next mode is your alarm screen here. So right now it's still default, it's set to midnight, but if I press and adjust this, I can set it to some other time. Let's set it to 7 a.m. Okay, and when I started to make those adjustments, you see up here the alarm indicator has turned on, meaning the alarm is set to go. But if I stop it from blinking, then I can use this button marked receiving to turn the alarm and the signal on or off. It just toggles through. So as you can see right now, neither one is set to go. I can toggle through. Now the alarm is set, but the signal is not set to go. Now the signal only without the alarm, now they're both set to go. So that's where you make that adjustment. And those are all the modes, and now you're back to the beginning. Now, when you first get the watch, you're going to want to make sure your initial settings are correct, and that's pretty easy to do. Very similar to what you're going to find on other Casio and digital watches in general. So I start here with my main timekeeping screen. I press and hold the adjust button until things start to blink. The first thing that blinks is my time zone. So right now it's set for the Denver time zone, which is the mountain time zone here in North America, and that's my time zone for where I live in Utah. If I want to press this receiving button, it's like I'm scrolling to the east on the map. I can choose some other time zone there, or in this mode, I can also press this light button up here and go westward on the map to choose another time zone. So I'm going to put it back to where I want to be. Next, daylight saving time. Do you want it to automatically change for daylight saving time based on the Multiband 5 reception, the atomic time information it receives? Or do you want daylight saving time to always be off or always be on? That's where you make that adjustment. But I'll set it to automatic right now because that works really well where I live. Next mode is 12-hour or 24-hour display. See on the time there. Next is, this is where you can manually set the time and the date. So I can scroll through and set any one of those things. And if I were to manually set this to something other than the correct time and date, then the next time it's able to successfully receive its atomic time, it's going to replace whatever I set it to manually with the correct time and date. But I'm just going to leave it on the correct time and date right now. Next, this is where I can change the language. So right now, it only really affects the abbreviation of the day of the week when you're in the main timekeeping mode. So that abbreviation can be in English, Spanish, French, Portuguese, German, Italian, Chinese, Russian, Japanese. So yeah, a lot of options there. I'm going to leave it on English, of course. And next, this is maybe a treat for some of our European friends out there. Do you want it to show the month and date in that order, or do you want it to reverse that and show date and month in that order? That's a feature that you have on this watch, and a lot of people really appreciate that, especially if they're in a part of the world where it's different from the typical way we do that here in the United States. And there I'm back to the beginning. Everything is all set. All right, let me tell you just a little bit more about this atomic time reception. Right now, you might be wondering, when was the last time it was able to successfully receive atomic time information? So I can kind of judge how accurate I think it might be right there. See this button marked receiving? Okay, I'm in the regular timekeeping mode. I tap that button, and it says get, and it's showing me that just a couple hours ago, here this afternoon at 3:06 p.m., that's when it was able to get atomic time information. That's because I was playing with it, but normally it would automatically try to receive atomic time information overnight. Reception is best overnight, so it will typically start about midnight and try for a few minutes to set itself. And if it is not successful, it will try again 1 hour later. And if it's not successful after that, it will try again 1 hour later. It'll keep doing that up to 6 times. And if it is successful on any one of those attempts, it's going to stop trying again until the next night around midnight. So there you go. And usually if there are things to do if your radio reception is not great. Read the manual. There are some tips in there. But where I am, reception is usually really, really good because just one state away from Colorado where the transmitter is. Every night on my watches that are radio controlled, I will successfully have that atomic time reception, so they all stay pretty accurate. Now, if for some reason you don't want it to try to receive, okay, you want it to just run like a regular quartz watch, it will do that. This, when I'm in this this mode here where it's telling me, you know, the last time it was able to get that, if I press and hold the adjust button, it's going to say, well, atomic time reception is set on right now, so it's going to automatically try every night, but I can turn that off right there and it won't try to set itself. So that may be something you want to try if, just in case you want to set it manually to something other than the correct time and date and you want it to keep running on that other alternative timeline that you've set. That's where you just turn that off. Or if you think you want to save some battery power, you can turn that off. I'm going to leave it turned on, however, because like I said, Multiband 5 reception works great where I am, and I want that to happen. Now, the other thing about this is, let's say, you know, I don't want to wait all the way to midnight. I want to try to manually make this try to set itself. So I can start here with the regular timekeeping screen. Now, if I press and hold this receiving button for just a couple seconds, now radio control is turned on. Now this is going to try for a few minutes to set itself, and as it's trying to lock into the correct signal, and you're going to see maybe this number 1, number 2, or number 3, those little bars might start blinking as it's locking into radio reception. But it's not surprising to me that it's not working right now. Okay, it's all right. It's number 1 just flashed for a moment there. Number 1 is the weakest reception, and number 3 is the strongest reception. It's not surprising to me that it's not working very well for a couple of reasons. And it even said error. Okay, so it just gave up. The reason it didn't work just now is that I've got some lights, I've got a monitor nearby, I've got all this video gear running, and that can cause interference with radio reception. Also, it is not overnight. So if those things were turned off, and if it really were overnight, then reception would be better. And if it's able to lock into level 3 reception for a few minutes, that's usually perfectly adequate to set itself. So I'm just going to let that go for now, and trust me, tonight it will be able to set itself to the correct time. If it is not able to set itself to the correct time, or if I've turned off atomic time reception, it will still be accurate to within 15 seconds a month, plus or minus. That's this factory specification. So still running as a really great quartz watch, even if you're not able to use Multiband 5 reception. So don't worry about that. Now, just to review here, this first watch I got from Sears, this is the model WV-58A. This one here, this metal version, is also the WV-58A. So, you know, just the addition of a metal bracelet there. Now this one here that's a little bit different, this is the WV-M60. And then these other ones are all, the model number on this is WV-200. This is the WV-200A. This is also the WV-200A with the metal bracelet on it and some metal pieces on the watch there. And then these newest ones I got, these are the WV-200R. So it is an updated module. It's module 3477. So even though these watches all do basically the same thing, they are different modules, except for, you know, this is the newest module with that Multiband 5 on it. So they all run on the CR1620 lithium battery, and they should run for about 3 years between battery changes. So we'll see how that goes. To be honest with you, however, look at this guy here that I got from Sears more than 5 years ago. I've never changed the battery on this guy. So maybe because I don't use it all that often. You know, you can drain the battery more if you use the light a lot, or if you use the alarm a lot, or the countdown timer, and all those beeps. If you're doing a lot of beeping with your watch and a lot of backlight, that would cause the battery to drain a little bit faster. But this one has gone well beyond the 3-year expectation with my just not using those functions very often. So I'm expecting similar results from these guys. And again, it's 200 meters water resistant. It's fairly tough. You're starting to approach G-Shock-like characteristics when you're talking about 200 meter water resistant or 20 bar water resistance. But, you know, I can't promise it'll be as tough as a G-Shock. The watch band here is a little bit thinner than what you might get on a G-Shock, and not quite as supple, a little more stiff. So I don't know, long range, what kind of lifespan you're going to get out of that watch band. but I think it looks pretty good. And I've got so many watches, I'm probably not going to wear out this watch band. You know, I'll wear this as much as I can, but it's not going to be worn like every day. The back of it, kind of typical stuff here. We're looking at 4 screws to hold on this this back of the watch there. A lot of information on the back of the watch, including the model number and the module number. So if you think you want to know more than what I've told you in this video, you can look up on Casio's website, module 3477, and get the official, the official manual for that and figure it out from there. So that's what you're going to see with this watch and this green one. Same thing with a different color. Let's do an official weigh-in. How much does this thing weigh? About 59 grams. Okay, compare that to the metal version of that watch I got from Sears, 82 grams. Compare that to just the basic watch I got at Sears, 42 grams. And let's compare that to this nifty little Orca watch, this G-Shock Square that I got, 56 grams. So right in line with some of those weights there, you know, at 59 grams. A comfortable watch, a tough watch, a great starter watch maybe for a young person. You want something that's a little bit tougher than average, has a couple more features than average, and yet doesn't cost all that much, and a nice fun watch with some great features. The backlight on this watch is, look at that, a kind of a neat little amber LED backlight, so that's kind of fun. Stays on for, what is that, about 3 seconds. So that looks pretty good. Again, this one over here, same. If you compare that to the older version, this was an electroluminescent backlight. So they have updated with the new module to LED backlights there. But I think they look pretty good. I wouldn't mind either kind, really. It's just a nice, good, clear view. This is what the blue one looks like on my wrist. I have about a 7.5 inch wrist. So yeah, not bad at all. A pretty good fit. Feels nice. And yeah, I could get really comfortable with this, obviously, because I already have plenty of experience with these other ones too. So of course I know I'm going to like this watch, and I'm going to like that fun blue color too. Just one more thing I want to tell you about this watch. If you want to set it to display mode, pretend that it's sitting on display in the store and you want to save some battery power, or they actually came out of the box. When I first opened the box, when I bought these brand new, they were in the display mode. And so here's what display mode is. First of all, if I touch the light button there and hold it down, and then at the same time hold down the receiving button, but I'm going to press the light button just a little bit first. And just hold those down, both of those, for about 3 seconds. And now this is the display mode. And what you can see is it's toggling between the local time, the regular timekeeping mode, and the world time mode. It's kind of going back and forth, showing those two things. And I believe that when it's in display mode like this, that the atomic time reception is turned off, that the alarms are turned off, and that just saves battery while it's on display before someone buys it. And you can take it out of display mode just by pressing any button. And that's what that's all about. So now I go back and, okay. Oh, you know what? I need to show you another thing. Let me just, as I scroll through the different modes, you could hear a little beep. Let me hold this right up to the microphone. Okay, so if you don't want it to beep like that, you want to be a little bit more discreet, what you do here, you're in your regular timekeeping mode. If I press and hold this mode button for a couple of seconds, just hold it, and boom, right down there in small letters is the word mute. So what that does is it turns off that beep as you're scrolling between different modes. See, if I hold that up, now I'm holding it up to the microphone and you can't hear the beeps, okay, because it's in mute. And when it's in mute, it's still going to, it will make sounds. It'll make sounds when the alarm goes off. The hourly signal will make a sound. When the countdown timer comes to an end, it will make a sound. But it's just not going to make sounds every time you push a button to change modes, or when you start and stop a stopwatch, it will not make noise. So that's what mute is all about on this guy. And really, that's about it for now. I got all these watches here. I'm trying to squeeze them all into the same frame here. Okay. But there they all are. Lots of fun. And it's kind of encouraging to think that Casio has still, updated and kind of refreshed this model line with these newer modules and these newer watches. So it's still a very, very very much alive, this particular kind of watch. The basic Wave Ceptors, budget-friendly Wave Ceptors from Casio. So look for them at a Walmart near you, or they're not that difficult to find online at the Casio website, or Amazon, or your favorite places to shop for Casio watches. Probably still here in 2023 have a pretty good, easy time finding these and not breaking the bank to get them either. All right, that's all for now. I hope you'll join me again soon, because I've got more to tell you right here on the Good Timekeeping Show.